What's up, guys? Back again. First MLB video this season. I know we're 2/3 of the way to the season. I've just been crazy busy with life and real life outside of fantasy and DFS. But I did want to get back into doing these videos like I was doing back in the NBA season. I was doing them pretty much daily in the NBA season. I'm hoping to do a few a week and get back into that routine of doing 2, 3, 4 a week maybe. Try to get a couple over the weekend. But it is Friday and I have some picks for this big slate tonight. I had the odds pulled up right now, so we have two games, 13 runs and for the over under or more, and that's going to be San Francisco and Colorado, and then the Baltimore-Toronto game. Baltimore-Toronto didn't disappoint. Last night it was a really good night for Toronto. Like a lot of people had kind of envisioned being in Baltimore with the weather and the park being a good hitter's park, and they had all three of their young stars out: Bichette, Guerrero, and Biggio, and they all did really well, especially Guerrero. But been looking to get a big piece of both of those games. Let's go over to DraftKings and take a look at what we have going on pitching-wise. Lance Lynn is at the top of the list. I don't really like a whole lot out of the top tier guys. I like more of the mid-tier. There are a lot of mid-tier options and in this slate, so I'm definitely going to be going two of the mid-tier guys. If I did go one of the higher-end guys, it would probably be Ray in Arizona going up against the Nationals. Nationals don't do as well on the road, and Arizona being in a good pitcher's park, but and Ray has been pitching really well, really consistent lately, so I can see that going well. But 10-4 with the bats that are on the slate and the other options that are on the slate you can pay down for and get a lot more of a similar production. I would rather go with Miley or Gossman or Perez or Matz or even down to May or Vargas. My top two that I'm looking at would probably be Miley and either Perez or Matz. I'd be leaning Matz, but there's a risk of a delay down there, so I'm going to keep an eye on the weather. So if there's a longer delay in the early game, you got to stay away from Matz, and I would pivot over to Perez or Gossman or even down to May or Vargas. But like I said, a lot of options in the mid-tier today, so you're paying about 16,000-17,000 for your pitching, and then getting a lot of money going towards your bats. So let's just say we'll go Miley, and let's say that there's a weather issue in Pittsburgh, and we see a delay possibility. Let's go Perez. That means you'll have an average about 4,000, a little over 4,100 for the rest of your bats. So I'm going to put out three picks and then go into some stacks that I'm looking at for this evening as well. So when we're looking at the Colorado-San Francisco game, I would stack the hell out of Colorado tonight. The weather's going to be there. Obviously, you're at Coors Field, so that's always the place to be. The main guy I'm looking at here for Colorado is going to be Charlie Blackmon, and pretty much all the left-handed bats if you're going to stack for Colorado. But Blackman's been playing reasonably well recently. Didn't have a good couple games against Cincinnati. Before then, he was playing well. And we'll pivot over to. We'll go over same game. We'll switch over to the San Francisco side. Not a big fan of San Francisco kind of in general, bats wide. But if we go at second base, Scooter Gennett is just too good of a value. When he was the last few games, last week or two with the Reds, he was really producing at a pretty good rate for his price, and he's still priced down at $3,500, which is too cheap for him, especially going into Coors Field, going up against not a good pitcher in Lambert. So both pitchers on this side, Anderson and Lambert, not very good. Over under, like I said earlier, is going to be 13, so there are going to be a lot of runs, a lot of hits most likely. At least that's what Vegas is projecting, and I can't see that not happening. It's just which side gets the better of it. But at 3,500, it's hard not to go to Jeanette. You'd probably be pretty chalky tonight. So we'll go with the next pick. I'm gonna put Santana at first base. He has the good flexibility that he could go in the outfield, but most likely use him at first base. And he is 5,100, but he has a 284 ISO against left-handed pitching. And it's going to be hot in Texas. It's going to be in the mid 90s, so good hitting weather. It's going to be humid, and it's going to just be most likely a good spot. Texas has been hot the last few games, going back 2 series. I think going back to the Seattle series, they've been producing really well after having a long dry spell as far as hitting goes. So, like Danny Santana, you could stack this game as well on the Texas side at least. So yeah, going to stacks. I like Colorado. If you want to look at GPPs, San Francisco might be a good play. Toronto and the left-handed bats on this side. Brooks not a good pitcher, so you could go left-handed bats against him all day in a great park for hitters. And in general, they're relatively cheap. I wish we had the lineup ready right now, but obviously it's too early for that. But I mean, you got Biggio at 4,300, 4,500 for Guerrero, Bichette at 4,200. At least one of those guys is probably going to get into my main lineup. If I'm not doing a full stack, it just depends on how things work out with the lineups and who's leading off and all that news. And another side note is Mancini. I would put Mancini, if you're doing multiple lineups, at least take a look at him. Against right-handed pitchers, he is just firepower. He had another home run last night, and I just I had him in one of my side lineups, and I just knew at some point I was just waiting for that home run. And he hit it in his last at bat in either the 8th or 9th inning. I think the 9th inning. But against right-handed pitching, he's just so good recently. So at home, he's almost might even be a lock for me for cash games. So, but that's all I have right now. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter or Instagram at the DFS Picks. If you have any kind of questions, feel free to post them below. If you like the content, always as appreciated as a like on this. That's all I got. So good luck tonight, and hopefully I'll do another one these tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.